Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today TV. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the closing action on the D Street, the way the trade has panned out throughout the day, all the updates from there in terms of sectoral moves, the benchmark indices and the stocks that have been buzzing the most in trade today. Also an update on what the experts are really looking at this point in time in the markets, what is looking attractive, bullish, where are they on, and also the strategies that they're recommending to all the investors and traders out there. That also will be the focus of this discussion. But first up, a quick check of how the closing hour has started off in terms of the benchmark moves, the Nifty and the Sensex. Well, it's been a slight volatile and a more lackluster kind of a day. If you see as far as the benchmark moves are concerned, the Nifty is hovering higher by just 0.1% in trade at 7950. Also 61,078 as the current level for the Sensex. That's up about 45 odd points, a 0.08% of a move on the upside. When you talk about the broader markets, there's a mixed reaction that we were seeing throughout the trading session. But now even the small cap 100 index has seen some kind of a pickup in the sentiment, and you can see that index also moving up into the green. Apart from that, the mid cap 100 index is up by 0.2%. The India VIX levels are down by about 4 odd percent at 12.9, so that's comfortable. But the advanced decline ratio is slightly tilted towards the bulls at this point in time in terms of the Nifty 50 stocks. 29 advances or 31 advances to 19 declines as of now. The top gainers, of course, post the earnings, you can see some reactions coming in on Eicher Motors, that's up 4.5%, Apollo Hospitals up 4%. Adani Enterprises and most of the Adani Group stocks are again buzzing in trade today, some of them inching higher for the second day in a row. Tech Mahindra, Reliance Industries, the other top gainers on the Nifty pack. What's not doing well today? Well, it's not the contribution that you're getting in from FMCG stocks. So HUL, Britannia kind of stocks are down in trade, forming a part of the top 5 losers today on the Nifty pack. ONGC is down in trade, HDFC, Sun Pharma, these are the other laggards at this point. In terms of the sectoral moves that we've been tracking, you can see that most of the sectors have been actually in a mixed reaction again. So you can see the Nifty Bank not really contributing today, with financial services, PSU banks, private banks, all three components of the Nifty Bank down in the red today, down by 0.3%. So the financials and the banks are not participating in the markets really. FMCG stocks, I already told you, are lagging behind, 0.7% of a cut for that one. Apart from this, it's the pharma stocks that are also seen some cuts in today's trading session, about 0.25% lower in trade. Realty has bounced back from yesterday's sharp losses, about a 1% uptick for that one. So that's leading the index. And apart from that, it's the IT stocks that are now at the highest point of the day and about 1% uptick. So that's where the contribution for the markets is really coming in from. The auto pack is also moving in the faster lane, about 0.7% of a move. You can clearly see the kind of move that we've seen from 9:15 to now. We're closing in on the high point of the day as we inch closer towards the end of the session. Auto stocks also at the high point, again 0.7% of a move right there. So these are the packs that are shining bright. Metals have picked up pace, about 0.2% of a move on the upside for that one too. But time now to welcome our guest for the day. Vaishali Parekh joins it from Prabhudas Lilladher. She's the head of technical research there. Vaishali, good afternoon and thank you so much for taking the time out for this discussion. Well, how are you looking at the overall market scenario? We've been stuck in a range, but are there any signs on the technical charts that you're spotting of a breakout soon?
Hi, good afternoon, Sakshi. Thanks for having me. Now, we've been seeing since quite a few days that Nifty has been hovering around at these levels. But today, to my observation, we are seeing that there is a resistance coming at, on the spot basis, I will talk about. It's at 17,940 to 980. So the minute we move past that, it gives us an opening for a further projected target of 18,100. But for that, we will have to wait. And in fact, comparatively, Bank Nifty is showing weakness. 41,700 is the near-term resistance, so we need to move past that. I would be looking at the auto sector and IT sector, which are supporting the market along with Reliance. So these are the favorite spots right now for trading purpose.
Absolutely. So we will get down to your favorite spots as well, and where exactly are you really looking at some bullish intake really coming about. Let me just first talk about a few stocks here. Maybe you would have spotted a trend here. After the earnings, we've seen Eicher Motors, Apollo Hospitals both really showing some considerable move on the upside. Are these stocks looking attractive even at these levels without, despite this kind of a move that we've seen? Do they still have some more steam left?
I would think so because Aisha Motor, if I'm seeing the chart, it has just begun. After a good corrective move, it is right now at a 200-day moving average support on the daily chart. So I think keeping that in mind, the risk reward ratio turns to be very favorable. With 3100 as the support, I think this stock can go to 35, 3700 in times to come. So, well, yes, I would look at this stock for sure.
Okay, and how are you looking at the Adani group of stocks? Second day in a row, some of the bounce that you can see continuously again on Adani Enterprises and some other stocks as well. And overall, most of these companies have actually reported decent set of numbers in Q3 as well. Despite the overall commentary and the controversy that has been surrounding the Adani group of stocks over the last 15, 16 odd sessions or so, how are you looking at some of these stocks? And post the earnings, would you be comfortable looking at some of them from a long-term or a medium-term perspective?
So, well, long term, it's hard to tell, but if one has to get into the trade, we've seen that the stock was bottoming out. To start with Adani Port. So, well, 395 was the low, and right now we are at 560 levels. So, I would say that if one has to still make an entry, one can keep a stop loss of 530. That would be the near term support line. And if the stock behaves well and gets into the positive move, we can see a good upside going at least towards 800 levels. So that would be my trading strategy purely on discipline and stop loss because it's hard to tell. These stocks are going to be volatile for some time. And well, likewise, even Adani Enterprise. So these would be the first two stocks that one would like to focus on. So 1500 would be the support for now. And below that, it turns negative. So for a shorter term period, I would say 1600 would be the stop loss and let's wait for it to go towards at least 2100 and from there on we can have a relook. And the other stocks, if you ask me, well, I have been observing Adani Power, etc. So I think Adani Power on a weekly chart, 200 period moving average comes to around 120. So that would be the stock that would be the level that one can look into. So likewise, those are the I would first
What about
focus on.
Wilmar? Are you looking at Wilmar? That stock is up by 1% again today.
So I think accumulation with us, disciplined trading should be the key for these stocks right now.
Okay, okay. You know, one more pocket that you also briefly mentioned that's looking attractive is the IT stocks and the bounce back that we've seen in the IT sector in 2023 after that huge underperformance that we've seen back in the year 2022. In fact, when you see, it's going to be very interesting for all our viewers to also note that IT index has in fact outperformed the Nifty 50 year-to-date performance, and that's owing to the better financial results as well, and the recent surge has also been seen in some of the large cap stocks right there. So Nifty IT index has risen about 6% on a year-to-date basis compared to a, definitely the kind of a lackluster move that you've seen on the benchmark index front in this same period. However, it is still lower to that of Nasdaq performance, which is again a benchmark of tech-heavy stocks in the US. That's risen about 14% this year, and a sharp recovery has been made right there. But I wanted to understand from you, Vaishali, IT stocks and the IT sector, how are you looking at it at this point in time? I remember back in the month of December or early January when we were still discussing as to when will things start to get better for the entire IT pack. Most of the analysts had a mixed view, some of them saying that perhaps it's going to be a tale of two halves. First half still tricky, the second half of this year still better for the IT stocks. That's when they expected the IT stocks to do better. But we're already seeing some bounce right here. Do you think it is good enough time to start nibbling into some of the stocks?
I definitely would love to talk on this because this has been my favorite sector since quite a while. So when
Okay.
there was panic, I mean, and I have been repeatedly talking about this on almost all channels. See, the sector on the whole, we saw a beating right from 37,000 to making a low of 26,000. From there on, we are seeing that yes, the sector on the whole is making higher bottom. We saw some consolidation coming at 28,000 levels, and from there on, we've seen a run up coming in. So, of course, my focus was more on Infosys and TCS because those were the index drivers. Right now, on a near term basis, the trend is still positive. Near term hurdle comes at 31,500, but the minute we cross that, we would be probably retesting 36,000 levels again. So, yes, the risk reward plus the potential for upside profit is very, very likely. I would definitely go for these stocks.
Okay, so TCS and Infosys, or barring this large caps also, are you looking at mid cap IT names as well?
Well, I started with that, but if you see persistent and all have outperformed comparatively. Right now, the stocks that I would really like would be Tech Mahindra because that has not participated, and even Wipro is at a fair price. So these two stocks need to buck up. And my view continues to be positive in the stocks that I already mentioned.
Okay, and what kind of upside can one really look at over here?
So Tech Mahindra, I think we just got a buying signal at 1020 yesterday. Near-term trading target would be at around 1200 levels. And
Okay,
from
what
there on, of course, upside still is, but we should have a relook again.
and what about Wipro?
Wipro, I think 380 should be a strong support, and
Okay.
500, 520 should be the target.
Okay, understood that as well. Apart from the IT space, like you pointed out that the banks have somehow been lackluster in trade today and some of the other sessions as well. There's been a lot of volatility in the PSU banks also. We saw a one-way move for 1, 2, 3 weeks in the last month of 2022, but after that it has been slightly volatile. What is the strategy that you're recommending here? Of course, these stocks were flourishing as one of the top picks for most of the analysts out there. Even you would have picked out some of the banking stocks from the PSU banks, in the rally that we were seeing. But what after that? Now there has been some, consolidation that we are seeing. Is that likely to continue? What is the correct strategy? Should one book out their profits, continue to stay put?
I would not say that because unless and until we don't break the support levels decisively, it's a hold. But of course, it's going to be in a consolidation phase. For Bank Nifty on the whole, on near-term basis, it needs to sustain about 41,700 to aim for higher targets. And likewise, even PSU banks, I will go stock specific. SBI having a good support at 500. It's just consolidating at 540. So I would say for a positional trade, one should accumulate from here on and in decline. And likewise, I'm also focusing on Bank of Baroda and also PNB. These are attractive levels to accumulate. There is not much of a rally coming in because the index is not showing. So patience is the key.
Right. Vaishali, your own thoughts of any one or two stock picks that you may have picked out which are on your radar where considerable returns can be made over short to medium term perspective that investors can really buy on a positional perspective?
So I have recommended Tech Mahindra as I just
Yeah.
mentioned because it's just begun. The other stock which would be a positional trade is a Maruti, very
Okay.
favorable risk reward ratio. And in the mid cap, if you ask me, I'm looking at Tejas Network. Today itself, we've seen a good run up. So 550 should be now the support, and I would look at now 650 to 700 in times to come. And of course, not to miss in the front line, Reliance after a very, very long time taking a strong support at 28, 2300 is showing good strength for a target of 2450 and 2550 as positional trades.
Okay, so in the big names, you have Reliance Industries, Maruti as the favorites of Vaishali right here. In the mid-cap space, you've already heard Tejas Networks. From the IT pack, she is bullish on Tech Mahindra and Wipro as well. So keep an eye out on all of these stocks in case you're looking at current momentum and, the considerable upside that one can really tap into. Many thanks, Vaishali, for being with us on this show and sharing with us all your thoughts on various sectors and stocks that we've discussed. The markets are inching towards the high point of the day as we inch closer to the day's end in trade. 61,097, the current level for the Sensex, 62 points up in trade. 17,957 for the Nifty. It's up by 30 odd points as well. Still about, flat to a positive kind of a bias is what we are looking at, but some pickup definitely in a few and far between sectors. IT, auto really leading the pack in the kind of move that we are seeing, and some of the top picks also coming in from these particular sectors. So keep an eye out on these sectors as well. With that, we wrap up this edition, but do stay tuned on to Business Today TV to catch all the updates from the world of business and stock markets. And also don't forget to subscribe to this channel. You can also continue to engage with us on our social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn and Instagram. Many thanks for tuning in for now.
Well, Mr. Prakash Luhia joins us for a quick chat. Mr. Luhia, thank you so much for joining us. The state of Uttar Pradesh is a the land with very fertile land, good for food processing and agriculture both, and has very